We control the horizontal. We control the vertical. Peer into the infrared.
Gamers and fans, this is Tales from the Infrared. Join us as we dive into fandom and explore comics, gaming, sci-fi, and fantasy, all from a red pill perspective. Hold on to your phasers, it's time for a nerdgasm! With your hosts, Dean Esme and Christian Shiasun.
Hello everyone, welcome to another Tales from the Infrared. As we've stated last week, Aaron Pitsey, the show Revelations with Aaron Pitsey is taking a short hiatus, so here at Tales from the Infrared, we're going to pick up the slack, and we're going to bring the show to a weekly show until Revelations with Aaron Pitsey comes back, and we might have the occasional show with James Huff. I don't know, what do you call those, James?
Call what?
The not so impromptu.
The not so impromptu. Yeah, the not so impromptu
MRA discussion. Yeah.
So we might have the occasional not so impromptu MRA discussion, but for the most part, we here at Tales from the Infrared is going to be taking it to a weekly show schedule. I am Christian Chasno, your host, and joining me as always is Dean Esme. How's it going, Dean?
I'm having a bucktastic day. How are you?
I am great. A little tired, but that's okay. I have my Mountain Dew voltage. And also joining us is James Huff, running the back room. How's it going, James?
Hi!
Jim Kelvarn. How's it going, Jim?
Oh, it's already shaping up to be a phenomenal day, thanks to you guys.
And, of course, the honey badger, Rachel Edwards. How is it going, Rachel?
Just got over a bad cold. I mean, it was terrible, but I'm hanging in there.
That sucks. All right, so who won the coin toss? Who's taking us through today's topics?
There was a coin toss?
Yeah, don't you remember the coin toss last night? You lost.
I lost again?
It was
Yeah.
You gotta quit rolling the ones.
Fuck. Okay, jeez. We're serious?
Yes.
Okay.
No, we're not serious.
Next week.
If we're not serious, there was no actual coin toss. But if you want to take us through the topics, take us through the topics.
Affirmative action in work, right? Anyway,
I'm just a lazy fuck.
COO. Wait, wasn't that supposed to be CEO? Anyway, Peter Moore decides gamers are bringing the gaming industry down. EA's chief operating officer is blaming gamers for industry woes, saying that gamers are causing the game industry to go downhill. Moore is stating an interesting idea with his comments. Quote, I think we're going into almost a golden age of gaming, where it doesn't matter where you are at any time, any place, any price point, any amount of time. There's a game available to you, Moore said. Quote, and our job as a company is to provide those game experiences, and then on our big franchises tie them all together, unquote. However, as most gamers will tell you, we are sick of being ripped off. The microtransactions, downloadable content that is half the game at the same cost, and paywalls for every couple levels make the cost very much prohibitive to the majority of gamers. These little costs make it hard on most gamers, but even more so on the hardcore gamers who spend a portion of their earnings on the games. Most people will say this is the natural progression of the gaming industry, but I will have to liken it to the music industry. The gaming industry needs to rethink their ideas, or risk seeing the high-end companies fall into the abyss that has swallowed game companies such as LucasArts, Terminal Reality, and 989 Studios. Ooh! Also, the first 5 Doctor Who scripts from Season 8 hit the internet. Apparently someone decided it was a good idea to upload the scripts for the first 5 episodes of Peter Capaldi's premiere as a Doctor. A certain individual's watermarked copies as well, coming out of Miami, it seems, where the BBC recently opened offices. And they are currently running around the internets and are pretty easy to find, along with many fans debating whether to read them or not. It also seems that the full filmed episodes themselves also leaked, but were unable to be downloaded before they were removed from the internet. Damn. Okay, she has no head. I was wrong. This marks the destruction of feminism at DC Comics. Another feminist decided to whine about a comment that she didn't like. David Finch and his wife Meredith are the new creative team behind DC Comics' premier superheroine, Wonder Woman. In an interview, David said something the fembots really didn't like. Quote, I think she's a beautiful, strong character, really, from where I come from. And we talked about this a lot. We want to make sure it's a book that treats her as a human being first and foremost, but is also respectful of the fact that she represents something more. We want her to be a strong, I don't want to say feminist, but a strong character. Beautiful, but strong, unquote. David is basically saying that feminists aren't strong. This is no news to our audience. But still, I should point out that feminists tend to whine about everything. Wonder Woman doesn't whine. She is strong, brave, and willing to do things no feminist ever would. As Nefenor stated in one of his natterings, Wonder Woman would be a feminist. Wouldn't be a feminist. She would be a honey badger. And there we are.
All right, so I guess moving into our first topic, which is Peter Moore. Before we get into this topic, though, there are a few more quotes that I want to mention, just to give you a better idea of what's going on over at Electronic Arts. Peter Moore also said this in that exact same interview, and I quote, I think the challenge sometimes is that the growth of gaming, there's a core that doesn't quite feel comfortable with that. Your readers, the industry in particular, I don't get frustrated, but I scratch my head at times and say, look, these are different times. And different times usually evoke different business models. Different consumers come in, they've got different expectations, and we could either ignore them or embrace them. And at EA, we've chosen to embrace them. There's a core, controversial statement coming from me, sadly, that just doesn't like that. Because it's different, it's disruptive, it's not the way it used to be. I used to put my disc in the tray or my cartridge in the top, and I'd sit there and play. And all of these young people coming in, or God forbid, these old people coming into gaming. So, there's just a couple more quotes from the exact same interview just to give you a better sense of where Peter Moore sits. Discuss.
I think he's an idiot. And here's part of the reason why. He sits there and he's basically saying, okay, yes, we want to be more inclusive. Great. You know what? I'm all for people coming in and enjoying the same things I do. I love people. Not all of them. Some of them are idiots. But on this one, he's basically going the route of, let's get everybody into gaming, people who can afford to pay more. But the problem with that is most of the gamers that I've ever known, they spend a vast majority, sometimes up to 60% of their income on games. Mm-hmm. This is not a good thing. When you're sitting there and like it said, you pay for a game, it's $60, then you pay for another $60 in content. That's $120. You're only getting half a game for increased prices. I mean, back in the days where you were just putting a disc in, you were getting the whole damn game for $30, $40, $50. Now they're moving towards, okay, let's sell half the game for $60, another half the game for $60. I mean, I've only found one or two games that it's worth paying anywhere near that price, and generally, if you wait 6 months to a year, you can get the whole thing, all the downloadable content and everything, for less than the cost of just the original game.
Well, I mean, it goes even deeper than that, because more recently, the new CEO of EA, Andrew Wilson, and Frank Gibeau, who is the head of EA's mobile division, came out in defense of an EA mobile game called Dungeon Keeper.
Yeah,
now,
I remember the original version.
Well, if you don't know what's going on with the EA's version of Dungeon Keeper on iOS and Android, there are microtransactions in the game, which, okay, microtransactions aren't a bad thing as long as they're implemented well and they're implemented fairly. But with Dungeon Keeper, there are items in that game, single items that are $60 in price, $70 in price, and these are US prices. This isn't like 70 pesos where it's like $5 American. It's 70 US dollars for a single item. There's also time lockouts as well. They'll lock you out from playing for a couple of hours unless you pay money to remove the time lockout.
Well, I'm a subscriber for Star Wars: The Old Republic. Once they went to the microtransactions, I mean, you get all kinds of little tiny things, mounts, pets, stuff like that. But the cost for those is $5 and $10 for a crate where you have a chance to get it. And
can I say something here?
Go right ahead, Dean.
Okay, I mean, I'm just stunned by this whole thing. It should be noted that Electronic Arts has been around since 1982, which by my math means it may have been around longer than some people in this conversation have been alive. Not sure about that, but holy shit, that's a long time, right?
That's true.
And I remember their first games when they came out. They've always been a company that, has been successful. I mean, they probably went through bad times and good times. But if you look at the growth of the video game market since 1982, it's amazing how much it's grown. Amazing how much money there is. I'm looking right now. I can throw it in the show notes if anybody who cares. Although, really, if you just Google, up a total value gaming industry, you find a report from Gartner, which does a lot of research, and they say the worldwide video game market now had reached $93 billion in 2013. And then they have projection for 2014 to be over $100 billion. 2015 projected to be over $111 billion. Whining that gamers are not paying enough for their games when there's this much money to be made? Fuck you! I'm serious. If EA is having trouble money, EA needs to adjust its fucking business model or get the fuck out of the industry. You've been here since 1982. You've lived through so many changes. When EA started, you know how a game worked? They shipped you, or they gave you a floppy disk that you pushed into your computer and turned the computer on.
Okay?
Or they gave you several floppy disks.
Or they give you several floppy disks. Right. Or they may have some of the old cartridge-based systems. I don't remember if they did or not. But, I mean, the market changes. And, yes, it is more competitive now. What you do is you find what people want and you give it to them. And I'm going to bet, I can't say for sure, but I will bet you this fuckwad, this COO, it's probably Chief Operating Officer is what it is. I bet you this fuckwad makes a minimum of a 7-figure salary, if not 8. But I would bet you he makes a minimum of in other words, millions of dollars a year is probably going into his personal pocket. And he's whining. Fuck him. He should be fired and go get a job running a McDonald's franchise or something where he can, seriously, you can't figure out how to make a profit in this industry with this much money around. Get the fuck out. You're incompetent. Am I ranting a little bit here?
Well, I mean, I'm glad you brought I'm glad you brought up supplying what the consumers demand. Essentially, because there's another quote. It's not in the article that I just read from, and by the way, the article that I read the additional quotes from was from dealspone.com. So you can go there and you could check that out. But now there's also an article that I'm going to read from at computerandvideogames.com. Peter Moore, in that exact same interview as well, compared the gaming industry with the music industry, and I quote, "We can't be music because music said, screw you, you're going to buy a CD for $16.99 and we're going to put 14 songs on there, 2 of which you care about, but you're going to buy our CD." Then Sean Fanning writes a line of code or two, Napster happens, and the consumers take control. Creating music to sell is no longer a profitable concern. The business model has changed to concerts, corporate concerts, merchandise, things of that nature. Actually selling music is not a way of making money anymore except for a core group. End quote. So it sounds like what Peter Moore is trying to say is the same way that the music industry allowed things like iTunes and Spotify and Google Play Music to sell individual tracks rather than only entire albums. EA is trying to break games up into 15, 20 different smaller pieces and sell you those. Now, here's the difference. When the music industry did it, they were selling you a $17 album, individual tracks for $1 a piece. So there's 17 tracks roughly on a CD. It was about $17. That works out to $1 a piece. What EA is trying to do is they're trying to increase the price of all those individual pieces rather than sell you those individual pieces at a proportional rate.
Well, to a certain extent, I'll agree with you, Christian. But even then, there are groups out there that did a great job with selling. They wouldn't just put like 2, maybe 3 tracks on there that were good. I'm gonna sound a little weird here, but let's look back in the 90s. The Spice Girls. Most of the fans I know of the Spice Girls sit there and say, all their songs are really good. I'll admit, I actually like some of their songs. But if you listen, they've only got like 2, maybe 3 albums. And, they have like, 15 number ones off of 2 albums? That's the difference.
See, here's actually the thing too. Here's actually the thing too. People are making money in the music industry. They're making more money off of concerts and merchandise and that sort of thing. Yes, but in point of fact, individual artists are also making decent money. There are fewer artists making millions upon millions of dollars, but there's plenty of artists making money full time or part time. Because there's more choice now, and the game industry has more choice now.
I've got something I'm going to have to point out here. What this guy is scared of is the micronization of the market to the individual or the individual team. That's what he's scared of. See, with the increase in technology, the way in which we compute, and just like with the increase of technology and the computing methods in the music industry, this allowed indie artists to really break it on the scene, and it ruined the large conglomerate corporations in the music industry. There's just as much money still floating around the music industry. It's just people like this asshat aren't the ones getting it. A lot more of it's going into the pockets of the individual artists or
it's
the
not
teams
the record labels.
them. Right.
It's not the record labels
EA
taking
is
the millions of dollars of money and then giving the artist a small piece of the top.
Right.
It's now the artist is getting the money directly. Artists like Skrillex, like Deadmau5, like Kill the Noise, who are working out of their own homes. They have home studios that they do all their recording from. They're not signed to any record labels. They're doing this shit on their own independently, and they are making money.
This guy is not afraid of gaming going downhill. No, what he's afraid of is the large conglomerates going downhill.
Yeah, he's afraid that publishers are going away and then indies are going to come in. And indies, self-publishing development houses, are going to start making the money, and EA is going to go the way of the dodo. And you know what? It's happening. It's going to happen. He has a good reason to be scared. But you know what? He has no reason to fight against it, because it will breed innovation in the industry.
Well,
you don't
here's the thing.
in the business model. You innovate in the game mechanics. The more you put more new fun things to do in a game, that is what you call innovation. You do not call charging $70 for an in-game item an innovation. That's not innovation.
That's great. I also have something I want to point out. It has been going more towards the indie games. The indie games are picking up more and more, and they're doing quite well. If you look, some of the better sellers lately are becoming the indie published games. And you know, I agree with you. That's exactly what's going on. Is he's scared. He's going to be out of a job soon because he can't justify his salary to keep paying him millions of dollars a year for doing jack shit. Go ahead, Dean.
I was just going to... Actually, I forgot what I was going to say, but it was something... Oh, yeah, this is very similar to the movie industry. I think the movie industry is really more the way to look at it than the... than the music industry. The movie and TV has changed, and Hollywood can still make money and does on big budget blockbusters, but there's a lot of competition in that area. On the other hand, these days there's a growing number of small studios and small groups making really good content, television shows and movies on much smaller budgets that people love. And great, that's just more choice for consumers, right? I mean, you know, and whining that some people can no longer make multi-million-dollar salaries doesn't change the fact that actually gaming is doing great. Some of the big corporate behemoths are having trouble. Oh, poor baby. Okay, you can no longer make hundreds of millions of dollars a year. You may have to settle for a few $1 million a year. Boo fucking who? Fuck you, EA. I'm not gonna boycott EA, but
I already have.
You can.
I'm canceling my subscription to Star Wars: The Old Republic.
I have already boycotted EA, and I'm actually glad that you brought up the movie industry. Because I do want to plug. There's an independent movie. It's next month. They're going to be showing it at various cinemas across the United States, and it's called The Angry Video Game Nerd Movie. It's an independent film project. It was written and directed and starred James Rolfe, the Angry Video Game Nerd from YouTube fame. If you want to learn more about where it's being shown, you can go to cinemassacre.com. I just wanted to plug that real quick.
This guy's name is Peter Moore, right?
The COO of EA is Peter Moore, yes.
Yeah, okay. His annual salary is $628,000 with stock awards, with other compensation and stock awards, and basically his total
bonuses.
Compensation package. Yeah, bonuses. His total compensation package is over $2.7 million. Poor baby. Maybe what will happen to you is one day you'll have to get a job making only, let's say $500,000 a year. You may actually, I mean, I hardly could live on that. Could you?
You might have to settle for one Lamborghini instead of two.
I could live on $2.7 million for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
How could you do that? I don't understand. I mean, what are you, a pauper?
Oh no! Oh no! I might only have to live in one mansion, and I might only have to have like 4 cars instead of 20.
I may have to vacation in Hawaii instead of Tahiti. Oh my god! Oh, fuck this piece of shit. Okay, no respect for your audience equals no respect back from the audience. That's all I got to say. So, yeah.
Anybody else have anything else to say on this topic?
I predict a failure of this new pricing model.
Absolutely.
It's gonna fail, and I'm already jumping back into SWTOR and telling people, "Hey, look, this guy has no respect for you guys. Why are you supporting it?"
I feel it necessary. Sorry, go ahead, James. Go ahead, James.
Thanks. I'm going to say this. Notice how he said the words older gamers. That dude is scared to death of people like us walking around the community telling people this is how it should be. Or why don't we try these innovations? No, what he wants to do is he wants to raise the next generation to get them used to paying with these microtransactions. Some of them not so micro, but you get the point. You understand what I'm saying?
That's exactly right. That's what EA is trying to do. I mean, they know that the 12, 13-year-olds of today who are gaming today, they don't know what it was like 15 years ago. They weren't alive. They don't even know what it was like 8 years ago when they were alive. They were too young to actually game and comprehend what was going on. They have no idea what it was like. They have no idea what it's like to drop $50 or $60 down and get a complete gaming experience in return. They're immersed in this business model where you plop full price for a game, you only get half the game up front with a promise that the other half of the game will be delivered at a later date and sold to you for another $50, $60.
Not even 50, 60 for a whole game, 30 for a whole game.
And you know what's going to hit them next is that's going to fail too, because there's only like a sweet spot that can be brainwashed into that. Because speaking as a parent myself, who would have to, pay for this constant dribble of money, I say no to my kids. Like, no, I'm not. Oh, you want to buy that game? Okay. Oh, and now you want this add-on and this add-on and this add-on? Let's talk about it. I am not going to give, and I will not give anybody. Microsoft tries this same thing, right? On their Xbox Live system, they store your credit card information and they make it hard for you to take it off. But I will not let them do that. I will not let them just constantly siphon money out of my account. No, I'm not agreeing to that for my kids either. So this model is doomed, and this guy should be fired as an incompetent.
Well, the model itself is not doomed. Like, there's nothing inherently wrong with free-to-play or with microtransactions, as long as they're implemented fairly. As long as the price of the additional content is proportional to the amount and the quality of the content you get for that purchase price.
Oh,
there's nothing wrong with that.
In fact, like I said, I mean, more microtransactions in the realistic sense. I have nothing against playing some games, and it's like, oh, here's a $3 add-on for a cool costume. Okay.
Well, I'm not even going to go with $3 add-on for a cool costume. I'm sorry, I disagree with that. Yeah. I would say, $3 add-on for, say, another hour of gameplay or maybe a half an hour of gameplay, sure, okay, I can see that.
Well, yeah, because I
cool
mean, like,
costume
if
that
you look
gives-
at multiplayer games, multiplayer-centric games, like Call of Duty, like Call of Duty 4, I sunk about 800 hours into Call of Duty 4 multiplayer on PC, and I paid $50 for that game. So if you do the math, 800 hours for $50, I'm getting that at about less than, what would you say, 2 cents per hour?
Yeah, I've spent well into 2,000 hours on Mass Effect. I'm not just going to go with the Mass Effect multiplayer. I'm also going to go with the actual the storyline as well. And this is just Mass Effect 3, 2,000 hours. I've paid maybe $90 for the whole thing. What EA is going for is, okay, give us $120, $150 for 10 hours of content.
Which is bullshit.
Yeah.
That's bullshit.
Yeah,
I mean, that's more money than what you would pay to watch a to watch a movie at a theater. If you were to watch 10 hours worth of movies at the theater, which is a passive experience, you wouldn't pay near $150.
Well, I pay $150 for a hockey game, and these are great seats. That's still 3 hours. That's something, I could actually justify because it's a lot of fun, and while it's mostly passive, you get into it with the crowd. But if I'm going to choose between a 3-hour experience at a hockey rink that's versus maybe 10 hours of a game, I'm going to go with the hockey game.
Honestly, I have to agree.
Yeah, the internet's
but I don't think I'd pay. Sorry, go ahead, Ray.
The internet is going to destroy all this kind of bullshit that he's doing, because it is like you guys said. I mean, the industry is really leaning towards the independent market because they offer a lot more. Because where in the corporate sector they've made it all, what's the best word? They've made it all aesthetics. All these other people with lower budget are focused to there's more of a focus on, storyline and all the important things that they've kind of, the corporate folks have shoved aside. So they're getting more for their money.
Actually, to speak to that, and I agree with you wholeheartedly, Rachel. To speak to that, there's a game I've been playing called The Dead Linger. It was on Kickstarter a couple of years ago. And for a $15 pledge, you were guaranteed a copy of the game when it was out in alpha. And The Dead Linger is being developed by a very small team. In fact, it's a father-son team. Their names are Jeff Keane and Richard Keane. They have one game under their belt called Detour, which you can get on Steam. I think it's like $5 on Steam. But I've already sunk about 70 to 80 hours into The Dead Linger for my $15 pledge. Wow. And it's still in alpha. They're still adding new content. And that new content isn't costing me anything extra. This is all content that they plan on having in the game once it officially releases out of the alpha and beta stages. And so far, the game plays incredibly well, despite it being an alpha. So go ahead and check out The Dead Linger on Steam. I think it's now $20, $20 to $25. But it's an incredible gaming experience. It's all procedurally generated. The world is 65,000 square kilometers of procedurally generated terrain.
Wow. That's impressive.
It's an incredibly ambitious title for an indie developer, and they're pulling it off amazingly well. And every single update, which there's a brand new major content update every month approximately, and they're always adding new shit. Just recently they added a completely different world generating system, which makes it look much more natural than it did previously, including curbs and sidewalks for inner cities and urban areas. It's amazing.
Well, see, that's what I'm seeing is that it's going towards this. This is the direction it's going to go. Yeah, granted, it's going to take a lot for people to get these things done. They're probably not going to get paid much, but at least compared to the big studios. But eventually, they'll get out there, and the residuals will probably pay far more and allow for more content and more games to be produced. It's kind of like a writer, their first book, they don't make a whole lot, but as they get more and more books out and their books are out for longer, they get more and more money. And I see that's more of the way things are going to go. You know what I'm saying?
So, I mean, I honestly, I don't want to hear anybody like Peter Moore or Andrew Wilson or Frank Gibeau bitch and moan that the core gamers aren't buying into the exploitative business models that they're trying to implement. I don't want to hear any of that bitching. What I want to hear for them is what are they doing to justify those pricing models? What new content and new gaming experiences are you going to bring to the table to make me want to pay out that much money?
Yeah, and if it's an Epic staff for $20, I'm sorry, it's just not worth it.
No, it isn't.
Or if it's a fucking pet that's going to sit on my head and squeak when I walk around, fuck him in the goat ass.
Even for $5, no, I gotta agree with you, James.
I mean, there's this is the way the business world works. There is a consumer demand. If you want to make money in that business, you have to supply. You have to create, or you have to be able to supply what the consumers are demanding. EA is not supplying what consumers are demanding. EA is supplying whatever the hell they feel like supplying and slapping an exploitative price on it.
Actually, Christian, I would disagree with you. I would say EA is putting out what they want, putting out what they demand, and then demanding of the customers to give them the money. It's like we're supplying something, now we demand what you have.
Or even worse. I look at it. The long term, over the course of these business lives, so to speak, has always been in the push of social engineering. And at this point in time, the gaming market is large enough and powerful enough that these guys can now start dipping their fucking fingers into social engineering in the same way the goddamn feminists did it, and set these new pricing models, scream the lie over and over again about how great they are, and the youngest, who don't know any better, are going to fall for it.
Yeah, and on top of everything, publishing houses like EA and Activision, these major publishing houses, all they do is publish. They don't develop. They don't have any developers working at EA. They own development houses like
BioWare,
Digital Illusion CE, BioWare, Treyarch, Infinity Ward. They own development houses that do the developing. They don't do any developing themselves. They're just a publishing house. However, over the last 5 to 7 years, I would say, we have seen an increase in the number of games where the publisher has dipped their fingers into the development process and told the development house, this is how we want you to develop. This is the pricing model we want you to develop around. This is the kind of DLC sale model that we want you to develop around. We want you to have this type of mechanic in the game. We want you to have this menu option for in-game purchases. Like, stay the fuck out of the development process. If you don't know how to develop games, stay the fuck out of it. Let your development houses develop games. They know how to do it. Like DICE, for instance. They have been doing a really bad job with Battlefield the last couple of years. I mean, a really bad job. Battlefield 3 was a mess. Battlefield 4 was a mess. Battlefield Hardline is looking to be a gigantic mess. However, they have some extremely talented developers. In DICE Sweden, DICE LA, they have the industry's best audio engineers team in the world. And yet they're being held back because EA wants all these different DLC and microtransaction models, and It's like, just stay the fuck out of it and let DICE make a great game. I know DICE can make a great Battlefield game. Let them fucking do it.
Okay, we beat up the game industry enough yet? Let's go on to, why don't we talk about somebody else who beats up the game industry, this time with no merit whatsoever, I propose.
Bonus round?
Well, I want to talk about the gaming industry's most irrational critic, but we don't have to. I'm just suggesting.
Oh, no.
Yes,
let's do the bonus
do it.
round.
Oh,
Bonus
gosh.
round.
Bonus round! Woo!
Everybody's favorite critic of the video game industry, the always responsible, always thoughtful, always hard-hitting, and in-depth Anita Sarkeesian.
Boo!
The fascist, evil, man-incinerating, nut-job, idiot-talking
God.
shit.
That would be...
Also known as a feminist.
I can't.
Did anybody catch Thunderfoot's latest video? Oh,
I did.
I did. I just watched
Rachel,
it.
you've been too quiet. Talk to us, baby. Talk to us. Explain to us.
Basically, what happened was Thunderfoot went through some Let's Play footage, and he found Anita Sarkeesian to be, surprise, incredibly dishonest. I think it goes beyond dishonest. It goes to outright fabricating her bullshit. Because when it comes,
really? Well, maybe not fraud, but
I said fabricating because when you look at what she was talking about with Hitman, and you see people going through the game, that it's more of a cost to actually go near the strippers and to mess with them than to just walk on by and sneak by and then go to your next hit. And how you actually get penalized for killing non-targets. So basically, she'd said in her video that game developers are encouraging them to kill and harm and objectify women. Oh my gosh, and just spy on women. I'm like, no, you're not. It's more beneficial to just sneak on by and then go about business as usual and then kill the guy you're supposed to.
In fact, actually, in any Hitman game, doesn't really matter which one you pick, if you kill any civilian or anyone else besides your target, you are penalized for it. Immediately penalized. There's a red number that pops up on the screen that tells you how many points you lost for killing a civilian.
Yeah.
Or killing anybody else who isn't your target.
Yeah.
What also fascinates me about this is not only do you have to go way out of your way to make this particular scene that she got, maybe she played the game herself. I'm betting she got somebody to do it because she doesn't play video games.
I'll bet it was her boyfriend. I'll bet it was her boyfriend.
And that's not being sexist, by the way, just that we have substantial evidence that Anita Sarkeesian really doesn't play video games much, including her own words in the past. But I'm vividly recalling how when my son was, I don't know, this was a few years ago. He's like almost 17 now, but he's still a teenager. This was a few years ago. When Fallout 3 came out and a couple of others, he would sometimes just enjoy killing somebody, and then the game would let you do things like pick up the corpse and throw it and mutilate it. Mostly male corpses, but really you could do it with any. And he would just do that for fun. And yet somehow he's almost 17 yet now, and he has yet to torture small animals or rape or kill or mutilate anybody. I don't know. Has my son learned a wrong lesson somehow? Why isn't he? I should go ask Jake why he isn't mutilating bodies and raping women now, because he used to do that with corpses, male and female. What's wrong with my son? Can you tell me?
Not enough testosterone, Dean.
That must be what it is.
There's not enough testosterone.
He's lacking in the toxic masculinity.
As a non-doctor, I would prescribe some testosterone supplements.
He's lacking in the toxic masculinity training.
Yes.
But I'm an MRA, and so this makes me a failure as an MRA, I take it.
Yes. We're all failures.
I would suggest you give him a fedora and I don't know. What else?
Make him grow the neck beard.
Yeah, and
that actually reminds me I'm lacking.
War on Boys.
That actually reminds me I'm lacking myself. I mean, I haven't put enough babies in blenders this week.
Well, I've only had 2 kitten satin, which is this week myself.
Yeah.
I need to get him an electronic cigarette because apparently now a growing thing, in addition to the fedora, which I never understood, now I'm hearing growing comments that MRAs use e-cigarettes. So
yeah, I mean, so if you use an e-cigarette out there, okay, and you are automatically a men's rights activist.
Does that include the vaping? I need that
the vaping.
clarified.
That's what we mean. Yes, vaping, electronic cigarettes, and we are kind of nailed.
Stereotype I fit.
We've got that one. They got us kind of nailed on that one because, as far as I know, every male in this conversation is currently holding an e-cigarette in his hand, isn't he?
Yes, I'm actually currently holding the Pravari version 2.5 using an Aspire Nautilus 5 milliliter tank, and I am vaping strawberry pina colada. 18 milligram nicotine content.
I'm holding a Nemesis with a Nautilus tank.
Nemesis.
It's beautiful. I love this thing. When it
Nemesis. Works. When you use that for beating and raping women, I'm sure.
Yes. But back to the Anita Sarkeesian thing and back to Thunderfoot's video. Apparently, for the video, Thunderfoot did his own research. He went through about 60 Let's Plays on YouTube. And he only found one player who killed the strippers in that part of the game. And he just shot them. He shot the guard and then moved on. He didn't drag the bodies around like Anita, like what Anita showed in her video. He didn't focus the camera on their crotch or their tits like Anita showed in her video. He just shot them and moved on.
Well, okay, so this leads us to a philosophical conundrum. Let me get all Socratic on you. Is it better that now apparently she is not stealing video game footage from other people's playthroughs and is instead actually her own video playthroughs? Does she get points for that, or does it kind of wash out because
I never agreed.
It's almost worse.
No, I never really agreed with the community's stance on her use of other people's playthroughs. I agreed with the fact that she used that footage without crediting the original Let's Players. She should have credited the original Let's Players. However, if she's going to show misogyny in the gaming industry, it's much better for her to use other people's footage, because then nobody can claim that she's manufacturing outrage. She can actually show other players doing the type of things that she's talking about.
Christian,
as long as she credits the original Let's Players, I think it's fine. I think as long as she gets permission from those Let's Players, I think that would be even better, although she doesn't really need to because of the fair use clause in the DMCA.
I think that's exactly what she's trying to do. I think what you're saying is correct. She's trying to incite the violence. She's trying to incite the narrative of men are violent, men are going to do this thing. When if you're looking like Thunderfoot did, 60 playthroughs, only one where they actually killed the strippers, and he still left them alone. She's creating this narrative. She's creating a lie.
Well, but she's been doing that all along. Is the thing? I mean, one way or the other, we know she's a liar. She is a professional liar. Let me just say it again. She's a professional liar, and I would love for her to sue me for saying so, because I'm saying flat out she's a professional liar, and I'm stunned at how well how she still gets away with it.
It's because she has a vagina.
And I'm going to say it right here. I will actually not blame feminists. I will not.
Dean, I want to hear why not, but please continue.
Because she gets all this attention and all these awards and all these accolades from mostly male persons who are white knighting for her ass. It is time we stop just beating up. I mean, it is not time because we do it all the time, but still. They're letting her do this. The gaming industry itself, which, yes, is dominated mostly by males because males are more likely to be interested in this shit, but they're letting her get away with it. Nobody's calling her on it. I mean, to me, it's like, cause she's clearly not very bright. She's clearly an extraordinarily shallow person. She's easy for any reasonably intelligent person to pick apart, especially because she doesn't even allow criticism. She's being allowed to get away with it. It's almost like a monkey. If every time I walked up to you, James, and I said, "Give me $1," you just handed me $1 and said nothing. Why wouldn't I just keep walking up to you and say, "Give me $1"? Why wouldn't I?
I think there's more to it because I think they're actually supporting her in doing this. I think they're actually encouraging her to do this. I know,
right? She's like a monkey who's learned that every time she hits this button,
there is good news and bad news about this. There's good news and bad. Okay, the bad news is that she now has tax-exempt nonprofit status.
Oh my god.
Yeah, the good news is that means she actually has to produce records of everything, which means that makes her more open to, I guess, someone actually coming across this stuff. But then again, I guess she would have to actually publish it. But I don't know if anybody can actually get a hold of the paperwork and her records to find how she filed her taxes in regards to the
$158,000.
Yes, the fucking $159,000. That I don't know. We don't know how the fuck she's spending it.
Freedom of Information Act.
Yeah,
they can redact her. They can redact her address and her fucking social. But yeah, let's see what she did with that almost $160,000.
She probably won't have to do that because that will all be pre the nonprofit. She'll have used some of that money to establish the nonprofit, but she probably won't have to report it.
But I will say one thing: I haven't found an annual report of feminist frequency. That is entirely missing.
I would bet that when did she get the nonprofit status?
Technically, I think it was 2013. So,
okay, so she's got until the end of this year.
She filed it probably right after her Kickstarter was over.
Actually, she didn't actually. Technically, I think it started. Her Kickstarter was in like 2011 or 2012, which means that she didn't immediately file for it. Mm-hmm. Meaning that whatever she did with the money before she filed that nonprofit status is technically legal. Bit asshole-ish, but it's completely legal.
Whatever. She can charge whatever she wants. I just wish she would, or make whatever money she wants. I just wish she would stop lying and slandering people. Our whole industry.
And stealing material from people too, and then basically treating them like a fucking asshole. No, I mean, the whole bit with the art theft and things like that, and the way that she actually talked to the artist afterwards, basically saying, well, it doesn't matter because we're using fair use, and none of your rights apply, because... I mean, basically...
the thing with it is that artist actually just wanted credit. She didn't even want to be paid for it. She just wanted credit for her artwork.
I mean, I think it's the worst part, though, the fact that she is just a complete asshole when it comes to dealing with people. Just regular people that aren't criticizing her.
It's a sense of entitlement. She's entitled to using other people's work without proper credit. Like, don't get me wrong, okay? I think it's very mature of that artist to say that, she didn't want to be paid. All she wanted was credit. And you know what? She deserves credit for her artwork. It's like that artwork that Anita used was really well done. And I've seen her other artwork on her site. She has some really well done artwork. And she deserves credit for the use of that artwork.
And she's
but I think Anita just feels entitled to using anything and everything she gets her hands on without proper credit.
I think the thing about it is Cow Kitty, the artist, was a real nerdy girl. One of the girls that are conspicuously missing in all this social justice bullshit. The girls who just care about these specific passions. The nerdity. That's all they care about. They're like, I love my fandoms, and she basically shit on somebody like that. Because I'm going to be honest. Anita Sarkeesian isn't a fan. She's not a hardcore fan. I don't know of anything. I mean, maybe I guess like Firefly and maybe Buffy and things like that. Whatever.
She's a capitalist.
Yeah, she doesn't give a shit about those things. She's just capitalizing on fandom. She's capitalizing on nerds, and she knows that. She's not a fucking nerd. Not really.
There's no significant difference between Anita Sarkeesian and a hired model to work as a booth babe at a convention. The only small difference is the booth babe is willing to be naked.
Well, I don't know. If you pay her enough, she might be willing to be naked too, but apparently it's more than $160,000.
Yeah, I think that the thing that is really fucked up is that for somebody who claims to be like a feminist, she is not, I guess, one of the sex-positive feminists. She's probably like some kind of insane, conservative, radical feminist, at least from the perspective that she's preaching. It is incredibly anti-sex. It's incredibly anti-sex worker. It's really
anti-woman.
Yeah, it is. It's probably. I mean, her master's thesis is probably one of the most unintentionally misogynistic things that I have ever had the displeasure of reading.
And she has chronic resting bitchy face.
Wait a minute, what's the most misogynistic thing you've seen?
Okay, her master's thesis, which you can find floating around.
Oh, yeah, I've seen
I'll make a man out of you. I think it was women.
Oh, yeah, it's incredibly condescending, and yeah, it is misogynistic. Most feminist reasoning, when you scratch hard enough, is misogynistic at its core. I bet we would both agree on that. It has to. You have to see women as perpetually helpless to believe their bullshit. But
it goes
there's my favorite video that takes apart Anita. It's a couple of years old now, but it's still a classic. It's from if you go onto YouTube and look for something called Live 8 Journal. Let me shoot. Is it Live 8 Journalist? I can't remember. I'll try to find it and mention it later. There's a 2-part video a journalist made. Investigative journalism. That's it. Investig. The number 8.
Yes, yeah.
Journalism. Investigative journalism with the number 8. Anita Sarkeesian. It's a 2-part video, and it goes into her master's thesis and shows it and analyzes it. It's Anita Sarkeesian Part 1, the college graduate. Anita Sarkeesian Part 2, Burka Beach Party. That thing is 2 years old, and it's still timeless. It tells you everything you need to know about Anita, and everything else is just more details. Everything she's done since. She hasn't changed at all from that. Anyway, sorry.
Yeah, I mean, we could just go on at length in all this, but all you need to do is really look at her degrees that she holds. She holds one degree in, I think it was communications, and the other is in social and political thought. So it's like, well, I've got this incredibly useless degree in communications. Better go get an even more useless degree. And how are you going to make money on these useless degrees? Well, you capitalize on feminism. Exactly.
Yeah. And that's the thing, is social and political thought. I don't think that's actually... I think that's more the okay, we want this, give us this, and it doesn't sit there and have any merit in that it shows all the different styles of thought. And then you come to the conclusion of what actually is...
What the fuck kind of job are you supposed to get in social and political thought? That sounds like the biggest load of horseshit I've ever seen. Most politicians...
It sounds like a career into social engineering, to be honest.
Really?
Yeah, but social engineering doesn't work because people are different. Every single individual is different. You can't really engineer.
Even most politicians don't master
it
social and political thought.
It worked on 6,998 people who gave her almost $160,000.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, you got a point there.
Yeah.
But I don't think people have started realizing how much of a con she's running and how really, literally stupid she is.
I hate to say it, but I didn't want to really talk about Anita because this is like this horse should be dead by now. Well,
yeah,
it should be dead by now. It should be dead by now, but she just won't go away.
Zombie culture.
Oh, watch. No shit.
Why won't you die?
Now I'm going to wait. Somebody out there is going to sniff that out and say we just threatened to kill Anita Sarkeesian. Fuck you. But I just like the
David, are you listening?
Adam Serwer, you could take that out of fucking context too.
Yeah, paging Arthur Goldwag. But seriously, she just won't go away. I just want to give Thunderfoot props for doing it and actually taking the hit for the team because I cannot make myself watch Sarkeesian's videos. I can't do it. So, props for him for taking the hit for the team and actually sitting through that shit.
I would actually love to have Thunderfoot on this show, on Tales from the Infrared.
You know what? I agree with that.
Guest.
I would agree with that. And you know what? Thunderfoot, if you're listening, please contact us. Contact James Huff, Dean Esme. Please. We would enjoy having you.
I'm a huge fan of his. I really am. I don't agree with him all the time, but I'm not required to. Hey, how's that work?
Yeah, I've been a fan for a while.
Yeah. He's not an MRA. I don't think he'll ever call himself one. And you know what? You're not required to be one. You're not required to be one. He's a skeptic.
He is, and that's all you need. As long as you can be skeptical of any ideology, that's all you need.
And he just likes Rebecca Watson about as much as I do. So he's okay in my book.
Rebecca Watson.
Yeah, I guess we should move on to the next topic of
Doctor Who's leaked
Doctor Who.
Yes.
Yeah, we haven't talked about Doctor Who anywhere near enough lately.
Everybody's gonna get so pissed.
Fuck them.
They're like, you're talking so much about Doctor Who.
Yeah, I love the hate mail that says, no more Doctor Who references. Okay, fine, we're not gonna reference it. We're actually gonna talk about it.
Yes.
Would you like a jelly baby?
Absolutely. Yeah. And you know what? I don't care if you don't want to hear about Doctor Who. The new series starts in a month. Fuck you. We're talking about Doctor Who.
Yes, and somebody somehow leaked the first 5 episodes, which got pulled down quickly. Props to the BBC for that. However, the scripts are out there.
Now,
we're not going to give spoilers, Night Aaron.
The truth is out there.
Yeah. No spoilers. I mean, we're going to try not to give spoilers. I personally have not read any of the leaked scripts, and I don't.
I refuse to read the leaked scripts because I actually want to see it.
I'm so wondering though, do we know the legitimacy? Like, there's several things about this. Okay, we have reason to believe they must be legit, or the BBC wouldn't have bothered, right? But I don't know. They might have gotten them pulled down even if they weren't legit. But like, what's in the script isn't even necessarily what gets filmed. People don't know this, but I mean, seriously, the editing process, what they call post-production. So even if you do read that script, during shooting and during editing and finishing up production, there can be major changes, and I mean major changes. So even if those scripts are legit, you can't assume what's in them is accurate.
Yeah, because there's so much that gets filmed that doesn't make
that's right.
Editing.
And there's there's ad-libs that happen on the set. There's sudden decisions where the director goes, this isn't working, let's do this. Whatever. And editing, shit, I love that scene, we got to take it out. You know what? I mean, there's this beautiful thing the BBC put out last year, I think, of a scene they didn't actually shoot because it wound up dropped from the script due to the time reasons with Rory's dad meeting his grandson. If you go out there, you can find it. It was a scene they never even wound up filmed. It was in the script, and it was dropped purely for time reasons.
Oh my god, that sucks. I would
actually no, because it would. it would completely fuck up the entire story of Rory and Amy. Because Rory and Amy, they end up dying before they even have a son. So how could Rory's father have a grandson?
What happened?
No, they went back in time. They went back in time and died.
They went back in time and were not able to come back, so we are meant to assume that they died sometime. And there is an unfilmed scene, and the BBC released it kind of in cartoon form, where a middle-aged man comes and visits Rory's father with a letter from Rory and Amy saying, "Meet your grandson. By the time you get this, we'll be dead, but we want you to know we had a long and happy marriage and a wonderful, good life, and we love you, and this is your grandson."
That goes back to Blink, the episode Blink, and I think that would have been phenomenal.
Well, it's a very tearjerker scene, and BBC put it out. You can go find it. So, that's neat. Go look for that. You'll find it. Just go onto YouTube. Unfilmed scene, Rory, Amy, Doctor Who. You'll find it. But that also gets to the point. What's in the script is not necessarily what's in the final product. So.
Well, what I would like to do is get the scripts, watch the episode, and then see how it changes. I mean, that would be interesting, just seeing that difference.
Yeah, that would be kind of cool, actually.
Yeah, I would love to see what Peter Capaldi the ad-libs.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, actually, when I wrote my novel, I don't talk about that too often, but I spent a lot of time looking at TV and director's commentary on things, because whenever you see a director's commentary, you start seeing how they talk about how, we had a scene here, and we had to drop it because, and I really love this scene, but I wanted to do more, I didn't get to accomplish as much, blah, 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 blah. I learned a lot, and the same was in my novel. A lot wound up cut out of my novel before it was published, because it just wasn't working for whatever reason. If you're interested in becoming a writer or a screenwriter, examining an original script and comparing it with what actually winds up on the screen will be very enlightening. It really will, because you will undoubtedly see substantial variations. It's very rare for a script to be followed to the letter. It happens, but very rare, especially in television. So, I might do that. I might find one of those scripts and look at it and just sit there and make notes. Because you'll learn a lot about how TV shows are produced that way.
Yeah.
If they're the real deal. If those scripts are the real deal. So, that's all.
Yeah. It might be interesting, but I don't know. Like, I'm a bit dubious myself. I'm not sure if I should believe that these are legitimate scripts.
Right. Well... that would be the other thing, wouldn't it? Are they real?
Well, who got fired from the Doctor Who set recently? That would tell you whether or not they were real.
Yeah, if anybody whoever it was got caught.
If that's assuming, of course, the BBC knows who leaked them, if they are indeed real.
From what I've been hearing, they're non-watermarked, so I couldn't tell you.
Does anybody else have taking issue with the camera style, or the cinematography style that they've changed, or that they changed to the second half of 11's run?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Me neither.
Oh, there was a change in the way that the image quality looks, or maybe it's just me.
You mean the last
they
season?
Got better cameras?
Yeah.
When they started filming more in the U.S. rather than strictly in...
Maybe that's what it is.
I just don't remember. And I'll actually tell you, honestly, I do usually notice little things like that. I didn't used to, but I did, and I didn't notice much shift. I mean, yes, okay, when they were filming outdoors in Utah or wherever that was, sure, but... otherwise, I didn't notice a dramatic shift.
I think they maybe upgraded their equipment.
Yeah, it was the change in equipment.
But that's only because they started filming outdoors with natural light. And there's a big difference in film quality when you're filming outside with natural light versus indoors in a studio with artificial light.
I got to disagree with you, or at least cast some skepticism there. There's a person on set whose job is to be the cinematographer and to work with the directors, and they make very, very conscious choices on lighting and shading and that sort of thing. And it's rarely just an accidental, oh, we got some better cameras situation. I mean, that does happen. But if there was a change, and now Rachel's got me curious, I'll have to go back and look. It probably was very conscious, and it may have involved a new cinematographer coming in, or something that drastic usually is planned. It's just like costuming. People don't realize costumers these days, they don't just make nice looking costumes. They sit around and talk about what colors people will be wearing to and how well it will match the rest of the scene and all that. There's nothing in professional TV production like at the BBC level where it's accidental, or very rarely. So if there was a change in the cinematography, it was 99% likely, but it's 99% likely somebody said, we're going this way. And I would bet we could look into it.
Subtle, so.
We could look into it, but I'll bet you there was a change of cinematographers or something. Because somebody said, we're going to go a new way. Somebody must have. Probably.
Yeah. I don't know. Well, I notice things like that, but that's just me.
You're an artist, right?
Yeah.
See? It would jump out for you right away then. I'd have to be looking for it myself.
All right. I think we've played around with Doctor Who enough to annoy certain people.
No, I want to talk more about Peter Capaldi and how much he's going to rock.
Oh my gosh, Peter Capaldi!
We still have 49 minutes to go before the end of the show. So
that's 49 more minutes.
James kicks us off.
Oh my god, it's going to be so awesome because it's going to shift back to the old Doctor and completely remove the whole crazy bullshit romantic interest shit. It's going to be awesome.
Are they going
I don't know.
That?
They could actually do that if they bring in a female Time Lord.
The thing about it is, well, that is true because
remember
now.
He did say he was married. He never said when he was married.
Well, he was married to fucking
River Song or Melody.
Well, no. He also said he had kids.
Well,
yeah, that's true.
The first Doctor had a daughter.
First Doctor had that was his granddaughter.
Yep.
Oh, it was?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
so I mean, who knows? Who knows where it happens in the timeline? In his timeline.
Mm-hmm.
Could be interesting to explore.
I do think it likely, but I'm just curious if Rachel has heard something or if she's just kind of assuming something. It is old-timey Doctor Who. Romantic tension just was not there. You might have said that the Doctor, it's like some people can sit, like my wife will sit there and tell you that John Pertwee, the third Doctor, she thought he was very sexy. But that's not the same thing as there being any romantic thing going on. And that's been...
Yeah.
It was also a different time, too. I mean, like, these days, it's all about the love stories. I mean, everything you see has a love story injected into it. Even a Transformers movie has a love story forcefully injected in there. Everything has to be a love story these days.
Yeah.
But Peter Capaldi's older, and he doesn't give off that vibe of whateverness. And I don't mean because older guys can't be sexy.
I think
he
he's
just doesn't
sexy.
give off that vibe. I bet you do. Did you watch In the Loop or
yeah
or the thick of it?
I watched a bit of that. It's you can see gifs of that on my blog. It's he's so dense that light bends around him.
I know he does angry better than anyone. It's like,
great.
I watch him sometimes. It's like Kevin says. It's like his face gets smaller and yet his eyes get bigger all at the same time. How do you do that? And he just looks like he's gonna
just like pops out, and he's just.
He looks like he's just gonna rip your face off with his teeth. It's. I have no idea what he's going to be look like, but I think you're probably right.
I think it's most easily expressed when he says, "Don't ever call me a bully. I'm much worse than that." So much worse than that. Oh god, it's beautiful. And then there's a scene where the spoilers. he receives a birthday cake and he opens it up. He's like, "Oh, are these the anal beads I ordered?" Then he opens it up and it's a cake and it says "Happy Birthday, cunt." And he's like, "This could be from anyone." He looks at the card and it's like, I think it says something like "Love the Prime Minister." It's beautiful.
But he's going to have an English accent, not a Scottish accent. What Rachel and I are talking about in the loop.
Oh, come on!
But a doctor with a Scottish accent wouldn't work. I'm sorry, it would just be weird.
It would totally work.
Work.
I mean, like David Tennant is a Scottish actor,
and he did an English accent.
He did an English accent, yes, but I mean,
but he did slip several times, and you did catch the Scottish.
Well, there were times where he brought in the Scottish accent, but he was like sort of talking in like a mocking tone.
Yeah, there was that too. There was a few times where he was doing it on purpose, pretending to be a Scotsman, even though he really is one in real life. But there was actually some discussion of it in England, and apparently some were a little angry with him for choosing to have an English accent. Like, are you not proud of your Scottishness, boy? That sort of thing, right? And he's like, the doctor is supposed to have an English accent. He just is. And that was the end of the conversation. So, I don't know. I do know I'm just looking forward to Capaldi.
I wanted a Scottish doctor.
Did you really?
I did. I really wanted a Scottish doctor.
But that's my only complaint.
I want him to finally be ginger.
He's always saying he wants to be ginger. I mean, what was it? Tennant's character said it.
Yeah, and then he's like,
Matt Smith is like, still not ginger.
Still not ginger. Yeah, somewhere along the way they need to get a ginger. I mean, we're going to have a soulless doctor somewhere.
Yeah, we need a ginger.
Well, other than that, then, I guess we're still left to wild speculation about what the new Doctor will be like and what the new season will be like. Oh, you didn't answer my question, Rachel. Was your assertion that there'll be less of the romantic tension-y stuff just kind of a thing you are predicting, or have you read something indicating that they plan?
Or maybe, I mean, well, I think that what they'd done was since 9 they had just sort of picked, I guess they played on the pretty boy aspect, the love interest. They had Rose, and then there was the shift into other people during the Russell T Davies revamp. And then they shifted away from it a little bit with the move to Stephen Moffat. And even though Amy had a thing for the Doctor and everything, they focused more on her love story with Rory instead toward the end of that season. Well, and then they shifted to Clara, and she's totally got the hots for the Doctor. Only now he's an older Scotsman that probably gives no fucks.
Well, see,
you're predicting a reduction in romantic tension on this end.
Actually,
haven't read some.
Oh. They said that he is going to get away from the flirty. Whether or not Clara flirts with him, that might be a different story. But the Doctor, will be getting away from the flirty.
Yeah, I think he's going to be getting a new companion. I think they're going to finish up the Clara story arc. And then they're going to move to some more interesting companions. And I'm really hoping it's going to be something like a dynamic with Donna Noble, that kind of stuff. We'll get some of those companions.
Good.
Interesting.
Me too. I mean, I like Donna. I like the fact that she was very in your face. She didn't take any crap.
Well, at the beginning, I didn't really care for Donna, but she grew on me really fast. She has become even though they won't have a Scottish Doctor, which I am incredibly disappointed in, I'm really hoping Peter Capaldi plays a more serious Doctor, not a silly Doctor. I mean, sure, silly Doctor is fun, but we've had 3 silly Doctors in a row. David Tennant was a serious Doctor, but he could also be silly. Well, see, I want to see a more
serious Doctor,
because Eccleston was a very serious Doctor.
He was very dark.
Yeah, and occasionally he would get a little bit silly, but for the most part, he was very serious, very dark. And that's what drew me in. Tennant being very similar in some respects, but lightening it up a little bit. That is why Tennant became my favorite Doctor. And Matt Smith, it took him a while to grow on me. It literally
I was
took
the opposite,
almost
because I actually do like the zany, funny Doctor. Probably because I started with the Tom Baker era, and he was zany most of the time. But that doesn't matter. This is the beauty of Doctor Who. The show can totally reinvent itself every few years, and I'm all down for a serious Doctor again. No problem. No problem.
Me too. I really am down for a serious Doctor, but I think it really does come down to the balance, like Jim was talking about with Tennant. That's why he's still kind of my favorite Doctor. I mean, I had a hard time shifting to Matt Smith. Maybe it was because of his sort of hipster looks, and it took a while for me to just kind of warm up to him. Yeah, because I really liked Tennant. I mean, it was, but now I'm sitting here. I feel like I've got the schoolgirl giggles on the inside. Like, oh my gosh, Capaldi's here, and he's so awesome. He's got that really awesome costume, and whew.
Yeah, that costume, at least what we've seen
It's
of it
almost like
so
falling in
far.
love.
Well, that costume, what we've seen so far, does look sort of like a throwback to John Pertwee, which is cool. And I know that's very inside baseball for you youngsters, but I know Matt Smith consciously modeled his own costume sort of after Patrick Troughton, who was the second Doctor, and it looks like Capaldi is modeling his somewhat, or is being modeled somewhat after the third Doctor. Basically fancier with ruffles and stuff like that. It looks like they're doing that. We'll see. When's the premiere episode again?
August.
August something. We just still don't have a date.
Give me a second, and I will tell you.
Yeah, it's going to be exciting, though. But I always like that throwback to sort of historical garb and the sort of dapper looks. Oh, just makes me all happy.
All right. Other than that, somebody wants to talk about Wonder Woman. I do want to know when it's coming back exactly. That way, we can annoy our fans who hate Doctor Who by talking about it even more incessantly. But
all the world is waiting for you.
There's a new stupid article out. Jim, you want to talk to us about this new stupid article? I think you have something to say. By the way, I know a lot about Wonder Woman because this is old-timey comic stuff, and I know old-timey comics really well.
I know her.
Proceed.
I know her very well. She's been a favorite character of mine for most of the time I've read comics. But yes, apparently some feminist got it up her ass that, this is the destruction of feminism at DC Comics because someone decided to say Wonder Woman isn't a feminist. Oh, shock! Horror!
Or shouldn't be a feminist.
Well, regardless, I will say she isn't a feminist. In fact, Nefanor's nattering did a great job.
Yeah, he did. Nefanor, we love you!
Yes, shout out
to him on one of these days.
Shout out to the wonderful alien Nefanor. And he makes a phenomenal argument that Wonder Woman would be an MRA. She would be the ultimate honey badger. To a certain extent, I'll agree with him, because she would be saying, what is this bullshit? You are a woman, you are strong, you are capable, stop pretending you can't do things.
And wouldn't it just be awesome if Wonder Woman could take that golden lasso, wrap it around Anita Sarkeesian, and we finally hear Anita say and admit, I scammed 7,000 people out of $160,000, and then I spent most of it on male strippers and blow.
and that would be
that would be a fantasy I would love, but I know it's never going to happen.
And that's assuming that. I mean, that's all she got from the one Kickstarter. I'm sure she keeps getting money.
Oh yeah, she's still accepting donations through her website.
by the way, in my view, is perfectly legitimate. The way she damseled and manipulated people into thinking she was under threat when there's no real reason to believe that is not. But the fact that people want to donate to give her work because they support it, that's fine. There's nothing illegitimate about that. But anyway, getting back to Wonder Woman, by the way, side note, I note a little bit of pattern here that apparently Jim Calvarn is a fan of World War II originating characters because he really likes Wonder Woman and he really likes Captain America. And those both fundamentally are World War II era characters, at least in their original inception. I don't know if that's coincidental or not, but it's true.
I think it's more coincidence than anything. I mean, they're well-written characters that they have a really strong moral compass.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And which, of course, they had to because of their origins being in World War II fighting against the Nazis. I mean, come on, America.
Yeah, although I think Wonder Woman actually started before World War II, but she kind of was in her heyday originally, fighting Nazis and Japanese. But anyway, Nefenor, whatever his opinion is, and I'm sorry to say I didn't have it. Maybe we should have him on for a debate. I'm actually going to annoy the entire panel here and tell you that Wonder Woman was created to be a feminist icon.
She was.
Because she was.
Actually,
I'm not going to disagree with that.
I heard
no, she was created as a feminist icon.
Well, I mean,
the problem with it is...
From what I understand is that the origin was that she was originally supposed to be a bondage sort of porno character.
That's false. That's actually a feminist slur. But we can never get away from the fact that feminists are not ever consistent. I don't know if the word feminist would be used, but the guy who created Wonder Woman, I'm forgetting his name.
He was a feminist.
Right, the word wasn't around back then, but yeah, he and I think his wife, they wanted to create a female action hero that would inspire girls to be kind of, the way they would have phrased it, more like boys, more action-oriented, more athletic. Let's encourage girls to be... Our society doesn't encourage girls to be active like this, so let's create a character like that. So in that way, you could say she was a feminist icon. And the whole thing about bondage is mostly just bullshit. She was invented in the 30s, and it was just a common trope back then for heroes and villains to tie people up. It was just a thing you saw, and they would tie up women, they would tie up men. That's just what bad guys would do to capture somebody, and that's also what the good guys would do to capture somebody, tie someone down. There was no real bondage thing going on there. She was created to be an inspiration to young girls.
There was the whole trope. There was a whole trope with, like, the bad guy capturing a woman, tying her up, and putting her on a railroad.
Oh, yeah, but you look at old Superman comics from the era, and you see Jimmy Olsen being tied up, and you see Robin being tied up in a Batman episode. It was real common in that era.
Tying people up was a lot cleaner than just beating them and arresting them or killing them.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah.
And so a lot of comic book publishers didn't want a lot of killing and a lot of violence in their comics.
Back in those days, there was something called the Comics Code Authority.
Yeah.
And they basically dictated what was and was not able to be printed. Since the industry has gotten away from it, I believe Marvel was the first one to give them the finger back in the early 90s. Either that or it was Image that gave them the finger, and then some of the rest of the industry told them to fuck off too. Go ahead.
Yeah, the Comics Code Authority sucked because basically in that era, people got most of their comic books in drugstores and grocery stores wouldn't carry comics unless it had the Comics Code Authority seal on it. When the whole industry when it became obvious grocery stores and pharmacies and that sort of thing don't matter anymore, the Comics Code Authority disappeared, thank God. But anyway, back to Wonder Woman. she was created as a sort of feministy icon if you consider that kind of mindset of the 1930s feministy. They really were. The guy who created her really did want to create a woman character who was, something special. And you do have Amazon Island, which was a story of women escaping men's domination. No men on Amazon Island. That was part of
the mascara.
Yeah.
Well, I wouldn't say that strong women in general, that whole mindset is in itself feminist, because there have always been strong women. It's just they're always. It's just that people are often associating it to a movement that really does the opposite of that.
But he did. If you read what some of the things the guy wrote, it's like you can see proto-feminist thought in here. Women are oppressed, and women have to be young girls have to be encouraged to be strong. But I don't know. Yeah, you go back and forth on it. There is a really weird part of the Wonder Woman mythos that seems to have been erased. I don't think it's in current Wonder Woman, but I know it was in Wonder Woman for some years. She had a weakness. Does anybody remember what her weakness was?
Being tied up by her own lasso.
Well, no, there was one even more.
By a man.
Those bracelets of hers, if a man could chain them together, she lost all her strength. That was part of the mythos for a while, which is kind of weird, and there is something kind of bondagey about that. But I don't know where that got inserted into the mythos, and it's been erased since then. I think that's
it's been erased. That's not. I think that was erased in the original Crisis on Infinite Earths.
Oh, okay, back in the 90s. But whatever. That was her
80s.
version of 80s. Jesus, stop making me look old, asshole. Anyway, that was her kryptonite. Okay, whatever. She doesn't.
Well, see, that's the thing is, and we've said it many times before. A compelling character is written well with some vulnerabilities, and they find a way to get beyond that. Look at the original Green Lantern. His weakness was wood. The Green Lantern in the Silver Age, Hal Jordan, yellow. Kryptonite for Superman. Batman just being a normal human being at the peak of physical perfection. Granted, the money is his superpower. I could go on with all these characters, but all the best characters are the ones that have some tragic accident with Peter Parker and his uncle dying, Cap being completely out of time and everybody he knew pretty much dead. There is some humanity in these characters, and a lot of what I see with characters coming out nowadays, and I honestly think if you go along with the feminist social engineering, feminists are wanting guys to be more of Superman without kryptonite.
Let me say this though. Anybody who wants Wonder Woman to be a feminist in 2014 has holes in his head, because basically she'd just have to be a little whiny bitch, wouldn't she?
Well, look at Anita. I mean, Anita's the perfect example. That's exactly what Anita is. Wonder Woman can't be a feminist. There's no way Wonder Woman would ever be a feminist. She would be a honey badger.
Yeah, in order for Wonder Woman to be a feminist, she would actually have to bitch and moan about shit she knows nothing about.
Yeah. Well,
I want to hear Rachel's thoughts.
Yeah, Wonder Woman would sit there and she would look at these modern feminist women and she'd be like, "What the hell are you doing?" Well, so she'd be like, "We're trying to support strong women." She's like, "Oh, cool, you want to spar?" And they'd be like, "No."
Yes, and
be like,
that's
"No,
exactly
don't spar."
what
That's
she would do. She would say, "Come on, sister, spar with me. Show me your strength."
She'll be like, "Come on, cool, let's go spar and stuff." And she'll be like, "No, we don't do that. I thought you were talking about strong women. I thought you were a strong woman. Seriously, what the fuck?"
And then the feminist would challenge her to a debate.
And she'd own him there too.
Yeah.
Feminists don't challenge people to debates, silly. They run like hell from debates. That's
right.
She would challenge them to a debate, and they would run like they would run like chicken shit little girls. I'm sorry, I'm being so mean, but
exactly. And then she'd be like, "Oh my God, Wonder Woman, you're being anti-woman."
Yes. Yes, feminists would be saying, Wonder Woman, you are being anti-woman, which, boom, cognitive dissonance right there.
Yep. What all this points out to me too is something I've actually said many times. Feminism is like an unword. It really is. It means whatever the speaker wants it to mean when they say it, and it means whatever the listener wants to interpret it as meaning when they hear it. I mean, we make fun of feminists all the time, but seriously, take any issue and take any position, and I can take any position, and I can explain to you why that's a feminist position. Any position on anything, I can explain to you why that's a feminist position. It's an on-word.
Okay. Why is Wonder Woman not a feminist?
Well, she obviously is a feminist because she's a strong woman. So when you're saying that she's not a feminist, you're really expressing your misogyny.
Okay, fine. I can suck my dick.
Pick anything. Anything. You name the position, and I can make it into a feminist position. Oh, well, wait a minute. Wonder Woman, here's a feminist argument for why Wonder Woman is not a feminist. Because she comes from a stereotypical straw feminist Amazon island where they don't like men, and real feminists do like men, so obviously Wonder Woman is anti-feminist. Literally, there's no position you can take that somebody can't say that's the feminist position. That's all I'm saying.
The problem with that is again, evidence.
Yeah.
If feminism is for... Yeah. Unfortunately. But if feminism is for strong women and empowering women, they should be holding up Wonder Woman as she used to be, as she was the compassionate, caring, loving human being who, if necessary, could go toe-to-toe with Superman.
Here's one. And it's a two-parter. How is Peter Moore a feminist, and how is Peter Moore not a feminist?
Peter Moore. You mean in terms of his stupid pricing model on EA games and his rant about it? Well, obviously, since women only make 77 cents on the dollar as men do, it is a feminist issue to make video games more accessible to women, and that would include lowering the price. So this is clearly a feminist issue.
Even though he's not lowering the price, he's increasing the price.
Well, right. So that makes it a feminist issue. He's making it harder for women to play video games. So I just do this all day.
Feminist logic is so fucking convoluted. Oh my god.
I can do it all day, dude. I can do it all day.
Oh, shit. Oh my gosh.
This is why it's a never-ending source of stupid.
Over here.
So basically, I think we've established that social justice warrior logic is where your brain goes to die.
You honestly have to suspend all rational thought in order to argue from a social justice warrior logical perspective. You have to suspend.
Well, no. You have to take out the logic because, as we remember, the brick of logic bashes in women's heads.
Yeah, that's mansplaining.
Yeah. I don't care.
Oh,
wow,
God.
We're silent.
Oh, man.
More to say. I got nothing more to say, except I do like Wonder Woman. I do like Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
So I guess I must not be afraid of strong women. Or maybe I am, because I like Wonder Woman.
Interesting thing about Wonder Woman is that when she first gets here from Themyscira, she is making a lot of the heavily radical feminist arguments. She's like, oh my gosh, I don't really like the men. But then she sees the women and she's like, shit, why are you just cringing in fear? Aren't you a real woman? So it's almost like she slowly but surely turns into an anti-feminist, or realize that she's always been an anti-feminist.
Dean, you only like Wonder Woman because you're afraid of her. You feel threatened by her feminine power, and so you're siding with her to avoid a conflict.
Oh, Dean, are you being a scaredy cat of women? Is that what you're doing this week?
It must be that's what I am. Sure, that must be what I am. Because patriarchy, rape culture,
because potato.
Now, I could be wrong
rape
about
culture
this.
and patriarchy. Because Wonder Woman Lasso, there's rape involved somewhere there. Come on.
Yeah. Oh gosh, yeah. Somewhere in the midst of the handcuffs, well, the manacles and the rope, there's just a bondage porn waiting to happen. But I honestly, I gotta say this. I honestly think that there is among many men an attraction to strong women.
Oh, I would completely agree with that. Strong women are phenomenal because they stand up for themselves. They stand up for the people they love and care for. They show not only compassion but actual strength.
Yeah, that's why I'm really just appalled at the fact that they're sitting there trying to say oftentimes that comic books are inherently misogynistic, while not understanding that really the attraction is to the full package. That she's sexy and smart and capable and strong.
Yes.
It's the full fucking package that's giving these men erections, okay? It's not just the fact that there's boobs everywhere.
Whoa, Rachel! Pulling out the erections already. Come on.
Yeah, don't use my penis.
Against you.
Yeah.
Oh, she can use my penis anytime she wants. She just has to ask. She needs my enthusiastic consent.
I'm
I
just
can prove to
saying.
you why Wonder Woman is anti-feminist, because she dresses in skimpy clothing that emphasizes her curves and her boobs. So she's clearly anti-feminist. Okay, I can just do this all day.
I think
Wait. Hold on. You see, we've got so many of these odd variations running around through this conversation here. Yeah. We can't necessarily say that she is anti-feminist because of the way she dresses, because
that would be slut shaming.
Look at the idiots walking around the slut walk.
This is true.
Goes back to it. It's an unword. It's an unword. Anything can be framed in a feminist context. Two completely diametrically opposed viewpoints can both be framed as feminists. It's absurd.
It really is. I think what I was trying to say, though, is that so often they're saying, oh my god, look at the way that these women are drawn. This is so incredibly misogynistic because these women are drawn to be so sexy, but they completely disregard the personalities. And oftentimes when I hear from guys that are really attracted to specific characters like Rogue and maybe like
Batgirl.
Yeah. I mean, what I'm getting is that they're like, oh my god, they're so smart and so interesting, or I love their personality, and that's what really gets them. It's the full package.
Yes,
but it's just fun for them to dress up in a whore's uniform and then scream, "Don't look at my tits!"
Well, I from my own experience, I've met beautiful women many times over my lifetime, and there's that initial attraction of, okay, she's hot, but once you get to know them, it's like, what do you really offer other than your body?
In fact, I've met some incredibly ugly hot chicks.
Yes.
Yeah,
I've met some women who aren't that good looking, but once you get to know them, their personality shines forward, and they're just, oh my god, they're amazing.
Yep. And that's why I continually call it a lie to say men only care about tits and ass. Well, yes, we do like tits and ass, but...
Oh, yeah.
No, long term, it's the brain.
Yeah.
It really
brain,
is.
Personality, the heart, yes.
Yep.
Yeah, that's why characters like Batgirl, Barbara Gordon, are fan favorites. Because they're smart.
Not so much anymore. I mean, have you seen what they've done to her?
No, I haven't seen recently.
Oh my god, she's now in a lesbian relationship.
Oh, I thought that was Batwoman.
No, Batgirl has become a lesbian.
Oh.
Well,
recently.
That's kind of hot. Sorry.
I mean, Batgirl. She's always been attracted to Dick Grayson, and now she's in a lesbian relationship. This is completely against what the character has been.
Well, chalk it up to, social justice warriors invading the comic industry. Now they're just trying to push it in there.
It's herstory. It's a complete
pandering.
Rewrite. It's a complete rewrite of character origins to fit a modern feminist narrative.
Right. But they're also, going back to my other favorite World War II character, they're killing off Steve Rogers again, and they're going to put somebody else in the costume as Captain America. They're talking about the Falcon. I don't have too much of a problem with that, but every time they put someone else in the costume, it's been a disaster. There is nobody other than Steve Rogers who can really pull off Captain America. He is Captain America. Steve Rogers is just his identity. He is Captain America to his core. And that's why I say, there are certain characters you shouldn't mess around with.
There are certain characters you shouldn't fuck with, and what they're doing is they are trying to pander to the social justice crowd, or trying to appear to be more progressive, and in doing so, they're pretty much shitting on canon.
Well, I'm not just going to go with shitting on canon. I mean, they're just demolishing the character. They're demolishing who the character is and the history behind the character, what's created the person who they've become over long term. What was it?
All right, let me devil's advocate.
Go ahead.
Is it really a big deal? If
things are.
I mean, is it really a big deal if Batgirl has suddenly gotten interested in girls? I mean, is that a big deal? I mean, it's not like
a little out of
it kind of is.
Though.
No, it kind of is because there's the original character framework for that character, and there's a choice to be made. If you want to write feminist characters within the context of a modern feminist idea, you can either take something that already exists and rewrite it to suit that narrative, or you can create something new. And it seems like the feminists have decided to rewrite already established character frameworks rather than create something themselves.
As a writer
they
myself,
don't want to create anything original. For some reason or another, the idea of creating something original scares them. I'm not sure if it's because they're incapable of creating something original, or they're too lazy to do it, or it doesn't interest them to be creative. I have no idea why, but they just they don't want to create anything original.
I have a theory,
I'll tell
Christian.
There's one,
Go ahead,
I
David.
have one too. Let me first off, in the writer's defense and the publisher's defense, there's a lot to get people invested in a new character they've never heard of before. That's just a challenge right off the bat. It's hard to do that as a creator. Taking a new twist on an existing character is just plain easier, because you'll have a certain built-in audience. Yes, you'll lose some of your audience, but some will stay just for that, and maybe people will like it and will grow. And to me, even as a writer, having an established character, especially one that never dies, right? Batgirl's been around since at least the 50s. So, I mean, she has to be reinvented regularly anywhere. But even as a writer, okay, it's the 60s. Even as a writer, I'm like, having a character suddenly discover that she has these feelings or attractions that she never realized she had before, that's not a hard leap for me. It's just not a hard leap for me.
Well, I'm not saying it's a hard leap, but what I am saying is, she's had an on-again, off-again love affair with Dick Grayson the whole frickin' time.
True.
I mean, there is no... That is established. To sit there and say she's basically not interested in men now, completely disingenuous.
Is that established?
But all you're doing is
that
reinforcing heteronormative hegemony.
I don't care.
But no, is it established that she has lost all attraction to men? I don't know. Has that been established?
I will get back to you on that one, Dean. But
if that's the case, then she's
from what I've been hearing,
and that's more believable.
Yeah, I mean, bisexual is believable, but straight lesbian, which is the way I've heard it framed many times, is that's what it is. That's what it's become.
That would be something of a reinvention. On the other hand, you've got to admit, Batgirl's always been kind of a minor character. No offense, but
I disagree. Okay. In fact, in her days as Oracle, she became 10 times not only more popular, but 10 times more important to the DC universe. Sitting in a wheelchair behind a computer, she basically, for lack of a better way of putting it, she ran the DC universe as far as the hero side went.
Okay, all right. You know more. I've been out of this for so long, of mainstream comics for so long. I haven't followed mainstream DC since the 90s. So,
I have a theory, and it might just be that these social justice warriors are coming in and planting their flag on specific things. I don't know if it's necessarily just because it's easier to rewrite these characters or tweak them just a little bit. I think it might just be that they feel like, well, you know, this area, this realm, you know, of geekery, like, well, we're not happy because we feel that it's incredibly misogynistic, so we're just going to plant our flag in specific places and change that till it's more progressive.
I'll tell you what, though. I'm going to predict this now, knowing nothing, because before this conversation, I didn't know Batgirl was in a lesbian relationship right now, okay? But I'm going to predict this for you. There is some feminist out there somewhere who is outraged and is angry that they've done this to Batgirl and are calling it some kind of... They're actually angry and calling it some kind of stereotype because they find a way to get mad about anything. Bet you now, if I look... By next episode,
no
I can find somebody who's... no bet, right? Some feminist is angry that she's a lesbian now. No bet. Nobody will take that bet, will you?
No.
Yeah. Because you can't win with these people. Anyway, that's all.
Well, I think that's part of it, is you can't win with feminists. There is no winning with feminism. It is just, I want what I want, give it to me now, or I'll scream and cry and whine and disrupt everything that you enjoy.
Or set things on fire.
Or spray paint a church, or interrupt a talk that's about peaceful problems that men have.
Yeah. There really is no winning with them. Absolutely not.
Did we have any topics we didn't get to?
I don't know.
Well, I had a...
Well, if
I
you
had
want
a
to quickly talk about it... Oh, sorry, go ahead, Jim.
Well, I was going to say, I had a slight thing that showed up on the AVFM forums about a role-playing company saying all MRAs are pretty much banned from their... Or all MRA discussion is banned from their... yeah.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Wasn't it that
all because of Elliot Rodger.
Oh, shit. Oh,
because he's an MRA.
Oh, God. Also, I heard that the new Star Wars movies are going to be prequels.
What?
Fuck off.
No.
I could be wrong.
They are doing 7, 8, and 9, and in between 7, 8, and 9 coming out, they're going to do other movies like a Han Solo prequel, a Boba Fett prequel, etc. But no.
Okay.
There's going to be 6 movies over the next few years, and 3 of them are going to be continuation of the original. 3 of them are going to be throwbacks to something else.
I was really hoped they would explore Boba Fett's adventures after he blasted his way out of the Sarlacc pit.
I would like to see that.
Yeah,
I would have liked to have seen that.
Boba Fett Adventures. That's a movie I would fucking watch.
And that's something people of our age, I mean, like James and Jim and I anyway, it was always really weird. Back before, Boba Fett looked like he was going to be a major character. He appears briefly in the first movie, and there's an action figure of him that was available for years. He appears briefly in the second movie, and there's an action figure, and it looks like something big's going to happen with him. Third movie comes along, he just dies. It's like, do you remember that? You all remember that? We spent like 8 years wondering what was going to happen with Boba Fett because he was an action figure, and he was cool, he was supposed to be a big deal, and then he just dies.
They explained it in the prequels. Look at what happened to his father. I mean, he's just phenomenal, or his progenitor, or whatever you want to call him. He's phenomenal. He's capable of taking on Obi-Wan and standing his ground, and then all of a sudden, whoop, off with his head.
I don't know. Maybe is it established that he's going to blast his way out of that beach?
Actually, in the Marvel comics, back in the late '80s, early '90s, he did make it out of the Sarlacc pit on his own. Somehow, he got his jetpack working.
Well, he also had to use the mounted missile launchers on the Mandalorian armor that he had. But yeah, he did get out. That's
Mandalorian,
yeah. But yeah, he did manage to get out.
Which goes back to them retconning things.
Okay.
Yeah.
You remember the Slave One, right? His ship?
Yes.
Okay, well, the Slave One ended up getting blown up. But he came back with the Slave Two, and every single year he comes back to that Sarlacc pit. And he burns off the outer tendrils with the thrusters from the Slave 2.
Works for me.
Wow, you must have really hated that Sarlacc pit.
Well, yeah.
Being digested over 1,000 years, wouldn't you?
Not only that, but those Sarlacc pits are very intelligent. A lot of people automatically assume it's just a beast. It's not. It's an extraordinarily intelligent creature. That Sarlacc pit had swallowed a Jedi before, and the spirit of the Jedi was still stuck inside that Sarlacc pit. And the Sarlaccs take pleasure in mentally messing with the people that it's tied down inside of its body and is slowly digesting. So it's not just enough that it's digesting over a period of 1,000 years. They are also psychically torturing their victims.
All right, I now officially declare that our biggest nerd of the week for knowing all that is, in fact, James Huff.
Yeah, he actually told me things I did not know.
Yeah, I didn't know that about Sarlacc.
So there you go.
I knew it definitely.
James, you win the biggest nerd award. You win the biggest nerd award this week.
Sorry.
No! That's the badge.
High honor.
You got a new badge of honor for this week, James.
We had a lengthy dissertation on the nature and biology of the Sarlacc from James Huff.
Tell me about Sarlacc reproduction, James.
No, please don't.
Yes, please don't. Please don't.
No,
he has an answer. He started to answer. He has one.
We have 3 minutes left. Okay, 3 minutes left in the show.
And
maybe we should roll those credits. Go ahead.
Two things. First, I actually want to mention and thank Jim Calvarn, for taking it upon yourself to do the research on these topics. I don't think we've actually mentioned it before, but Jim has sort of taken it upon himself to be the show's researcher. So thank you for doing that. I just wanted to mention that on air.
James,
I'm happy to do it.
He's responsible for a major improvement of the show. I really appreciate him and Rachel.
I'm happy to do it, and I thank you guys for allowing me to continue to come back and spread my vile message of hatred of those who disrupt the geek culture.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the second thing, we have 2 more minutes now, and the last word is going to be on a extra bonus topic. It was not brought up. Nobody could research it. So here it is. GameStop held a meeting with their investors, and what they want to do is they want to approach game developers and publishers and pay them a bunch of money to get exclusive content for their version of the game, the version of the game that they sell. And I'm not talking about little, like, a costume here and there for, as an incentive to buy it from GameStop. I'm talking about entire levels. I'm talking about entire side stories, major content, exclusive DLC that you could only get with the GameStop version. Last word, what are your thoughts?
Holy shit.
If it sucks.
I'm going to say it's not going to happen due to the fact that they might get exclusive rights to it for a period of time. However, the game developers will get a ton of hate mail from the consumers saying no. And eventually that stuff will be brought out for the general consumer. They might get it for like 6 months, but no, it's not gonna take.
Dean?
What Jim said.
Rachel?
What Jim said.
James?
Like I
Don't
said,
you dare say what Jim said.
If it sells, that's.
Well, my thoughts is, if GameStop does this, what makes you think Walmart's not going to do it? Future Shop's not going to do it. Target isn't going to do it. Now you're going to have 6, 7, 8 different versions of the same game with 8 different exclusive contents. Honestly, I think it's a very bad move.
Like I said, it's not going to work. It's not going to work. The consumer will sit there and they will actually go to the point of boycotting. I guarantee it.
Yeah, I would actually have to agree. Well, that is it. That is our time for the show. We have 0 minutes left. I want to thank everybody on the panel for making it an amazing show, and I want to thank you, the audience, for taking time out of your Saturday afternoon to listen to us nerds just shoot the shit.
We do love our fans. We love our fans.
We really, really do. And just remember,
2 people that listen to us.
take the red pill, everybody.
Bye-bye.